Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today to discuss how to fight wildfire with technology. I'm Kevin Sagara. I'm on the EEI board and I'm Group President of Sempra Energy, and I'm delighted to be your chair for this session. Wildfire is one of the most important issues that our industry is facing and one that we think about and work on every day at SDG&E, so I'm especially appreciative of the work that EEI continues to do to advance the industry dialogue and collaboration in this speech, including forums just like this one. One of the most important and effective tools we and others across the industry have found to fight wildfires is technology. Technology has enabled us to better predict where wildfires are likely to occur, to take preventative action against them, and to better communicate with our crews and our customers ahead of enduring events. It's become a critical tool in our arsenal and one that keeps evolving, so I'm thrilled to have a dedicated session for us to hear about some of the latest innovations and how we can continue to leverage technology to fight wildfire. Joining me on this panel discussion today, I'd like to introduce Caroline Winn, CEO of SDG&E, Everette Rochon, Acting Manager of the General Aviation and Commercial Division at the FAA, and Caroline Narich, Managing Director at Accenture. The FAA has been a great partner in supporting the ever-expanding usage cases for drones by electric utilities in this space. And Caroline with Accenture has been a great technology partner for SDG&E, and that collaboration has resulted in many of the innovations that you're going to see today. Welcome, everyone. I look forward to this discussion. To kick us off, I'd like to ground the discussion and where the industry is coming from. To do this, I'm going to hand this over to Caroline Winn, who will share SDG&E's story on fighting wildfire with technology. Caroline succeeded me last month as CEO, so I just want to say congratulations again, Caroline. Now over to you.
Well, thank you so much, Kevin, and I'm humbled and honored to take this position. And I want to just thank EEI for including me on this panel today. I'll be bringing up a short presentation that I want to take you through, and I appreciate the time today. I'd like to start by acknowledging that we are in fact in an exciting but really challenging and unprecedented time for our industry. On one hand, we're facing increased risks, and these risks are really testing our business and our system resilience like never before. On the other hand, we are in the midst of a major transition to a cleaner and more complex energy future with a wide variety of energy sources, from centralized and distributed, and all while in the middle of a global pandemic. And these dynamics are really fundamentally transforming our industry, and these dynamics are demanding that we transform alongside it. At San Diego Gas and Electric, like many utilities, we identify our risks, we develop plans, programs, and initiatives to mitigate them. And the threat of wildfire is our biggest risk. It's something that we think about every day. It's something I think about every day. And I'm particularly excited to share some of the things that we've done to reduce the threat of wildfire throughout our service territory. Now, innovation is not a new passion for us at SDG&E, and it's one of the things that I love most about SDG&E is our culture. It's our culture of innovation, and it's our continuous improvement. You know, about a decade ago, we built our Energy Innovation Center, and it serves as a community resource for energy efficiency, for technology, and green building practices. In fact, it's just one of a handful of double LEED platinum facilities in the world, and it's really a showcase for the community in terms of what's possible. Through partnerships with innovation partners like Accenture, maybe universities like UCSD, and other industry organizations like EEI and EPRI, we're able to test and we're able to learn about new technologies and determine how we can apply them to create value for our organization and for our customers. Our teams partnered with UCSD in 2017 to install a high-definition camera and network using microwave technology, and they're on our mountaintops, so now known as Alert SDG&E, and it can detect smoke plumes, and we can get fire origin down to the latitude and longitude levels, and now all California investor utilities are doing this. And over the past few years, we've also applied innovation to our organization through the automation of some back office processes using robotic process automation, creating over 100,000 hours of annual labor capacity. And our team created several years ago something called a renewable meter adapter, and it's saving our customers thousands of dollars on the installation of solar on their rooftops by providing an additional breaker position for their solar to interconnect. And digital is really critical to us. We've invested in a broad set of digital capabilities, from automation to analytics to artificial intelligence, all to fuel our innovation. And as we continue to invest in digital, we now have a new focus on transitioning to cloud as the foundation to innovate at scale. And because a lot of the capabilities we're talking about today are inherent to cloud, this allows us to move with more speed and more agility. And maybe to bring to life for you, I want to share 3 stories of what we've done, of what we're going to do, and what we're exploring next. You know, I think it's important to note that our innovation framework and our partnership with Accenture, we're testing emerging technologies and their application to address our toughest business issues on an ongoing basis. And over the last decade plus, we have focused on mitigating the risk of wildfire through investments to harden the system, investments to improve our situational awareness, and we started with building out a network of over 200 weather stations to better predict the impact and the likelihood of extreme fire weather in our service territory. And we're increasingly looking to artificial intelligence and machine learning with really new data sources from drones and from satellites to better inform with a higher level of certainty and precision, which segments our system that has the highest risk of wildfire. As we walk through each of these stories, you can start to see how they build on each other to better inform our decision-making and to better mitigate against that risk. So from a weather analytics perspective, we have installed over 200 weather stations throughout SDG&E service territory. And what that does, it really gives us the ability to correlate multiple factors like wind speed, like temperature, humidity, topography, and other important field conditions. And this is important in order to identify areas in our service territory that have a higher likelihood of fire. And by using the power of AI and analytics as we go into extreme wildfire weather and red flag events, as they call them, we can more accurately predict which communities will be affected, and we can proactively de-energize certain sections of the system to ensure that we're limiting the customer impact and ensure that the safety of our employees and the communities that we're privileged to serve. Not only are we working towards eliminating ignitions, but we're also focused on early detection of fire and suppression. And aerial assets play a significant role for us in our flight mission categories. Our drone inspection, assessment, and repair program began by flying 30,000 poles in our Tier 3 highest fire threat areas, and we did that in the second half of 2019. Now, drones are giving us a different viewpoint of our infrastructure and really provides this higher level of granularity from inspections done on the ground or helicopter. And they're playing a significant role in eliminating potential equipment-related ignitions, and I think one that has huge future opportunity using AI and machine learning. We have over 1 million drone images and expect to have almost 3 million by the end of this year. And we needed a capability to quickly analyze these images and prioritize damaged assets that have a higher likelihood of leading to a wildfire. So by working with our innovation partner, Accenture, we're now implementing machine learning models to automatically detect damages coming in from our drone program. And that's complementing and additive to our weather prediction models. And what this does is it allows us to be even more precise on which circuit segments have the highest risk going into an extreme fire weather event. And I'd like now to share a quick video with you demonstrating this technology and where we're taking it in the future.
At SDG&E, we have an innovation program and a framework to rapidly test new and emerging technologies to inform future technology investment decisions.
And in the case of the drone investigation, assessment, and repair program,
we asked ourselves the question, how might we analyze thousands, if not millions, of images coming in from the field to automatically detect a damage on the electric system? And the emerging technology we identified to answer that question was artificial intelligence and machine learning. Machine learning will enable us to train a computer to augment the existing manual evaluation process. As images are captured by drones in the field, they are then uploaded into our central portal, and the qualified lineman reviews every single image and manually annotates any damage. And when damages are manually identified, we simultaneously train our machine learning model by drawing a bounding box around that damage, which is then used to identify those same patterns in future images. And what we have in the end is this amazing human plus machine relationship where we can be much more efficient and effective in the long term. This capability can now enable us to identify damages faster, prioritize the issues, and initiate work in the field. Additionally, we are now exploring other scenarios such as deploying a machine learning model on a mobile application for our qualified linemen to utilize in the course of their daily work. And we have a long-term vision where we might look to implement these capabilities on fleet vehicles or other company assets so that we can detect damages across the service territory on a regular basis, allowing SDG&E to continue delivering clean, safe, and reliable energy to the communities in which we serve.
Now with our next step, we're planning to test and learn about how we can incorporate satellite imagery and artificial intelligence to further inform the risk of our circuits based on real-time analytics of vegetation encroachment on our electric system. Now, why now? Why is it important? Well, the proliferation of low Earth orbit satellites has really opened the door to near real-time, high-resolution data that can be used to detect vegetation height and proximity to our electric system with accuracy within a foot. And all of these components further contribute to understanding the risk of each of our circuits feeding our communities. And as you can begin combining these three stories around weather data, around drone imagery and satellite imagery, we can better prepare for extreme fire events in order to proactively manage operations and reduce the risk of wildfire to our communities. I believe these three examples demonstrate the power of digital, the power of artificial intelligence, and the power of emerging technologies to transform the way we work, increase our resilience, and positively impact our customers and the communities that we serve. Kevin, back to you.
Thank you, Caroline, for that response and sharing the SDG&E journey. I know we're both really proud of what the SDG&E team has accomplished as leaders in this important field. Now I want to dive into one of these technologies in a bit more detail. Let's talk about drones. Everette, as Caroline just shared, SDG&E is leveraging drone imagery to gain better and faster intelligence on the state of our infrastructure and taking proactive action ahead of red flag events. As we think about building on these efforts, what safety considerations, challenges, opportunities do we need to take into account?
Well, thanks for the question, Kevin, and hello to the fellow panelists. Yeah, without a doubt, there are opportunities to build on the efforts that Caroline just shared. And I'll speak to some of those opportunities and safety risk management conditions with the help of a few slides. But first, I wanted to say thank you as well to EEI for including the FAA on the panel today. Without a doubt, there are opportunities to build on the efforts that Caroline just shared. I'll speak to some of those opportunities and safety risk management considerations with the help of a few slides. But before I get started, I wanted to say thank you as well to EEI for including the FAA on the panel today. The FAA's mission is and will continue to be safety and efficiency of the national airspace system. That includes regulating civil aviation, promoting safety, and encouraging new aviation technology. Like any other aircraft in the national airspace, drones must comply with federal aviation regulations. I love hearing Caroline mention the culture of innovation and continuous improvement at SDG&E, and I believe the FAA can accomplish its safety mission while not impeding on that culture. Enabling safe, scalable UAS operations depends on a system of systems approach where no one system is responsible for maintaining safety of the national airspace. You see here that what we call the 3 A's, the airman, aircraft, and airspace. Manned aircraft operations have established standards and processes in all three areas. These are not well established in the unmanned world, and they have to be considered concurrently and at the speed of innovation. Individual operators, whether remote pilots in command or a company, are encouraged to think in terms of a safety management system, in which one piece of the system of systems used by the FAA to ensure that NAS remains safe for all users. The safety risk management component is where hazards are identified and risks are mitigated to an acceptable level. The FAA must have a clear understanding of the proposed CONOPS and validate the operator's assessment of risk, both air and ground, and mitigations, both strategic and tactical, to maintain control and ensure safe UAS operations. The UAS SRM process takes into consideration the strength or robustness of the proposed mitigations. The more or stronger the mitigations, the lower the risk level. We have to balance all the mitigations to come up with an acceptable level of risk based on the operation. Personally speaking, I see as a challenge as well as an opportunity to close subjective gaps between the FAA and industry by objectively assessing and mitigating risk. In the FAA, we're working on ways to do just that. Regulatory action is one of the FAA's tools for controlling safety risk. When an application for waiver under Part 107 or exemption under Part 91 is submitted, the applicant must assess that their alternative meets the same level of safety. The FAA then validates that assessment in terms of severity and likelihood. Collaborating to support use of drones by electric utilities to reduce the threat of wildfire is a shared priority for EEI and FAA. Partnerships like PSP between FAA, Excel, and others serve to advance the development and safe demonstration of higher risk beyond visual line of sight operations. The successes with Excel Energy under Part 107, limited beyond visual line of sight operations, and utilizing the physical infrastructure like power lines as an air-to-air risk mitigation strategy is certainly a success we can build on. Incremental success allow us to gather experience and lessons learned to inform policy, guidance, and rulemaking, which ultimately will enable scalable operations. And finally, the FAA Special Governmental Interest or SGI process. The process is necessary to effectively and efficiently issue expedited approvals for the use of drones to support inspections after natural disasters like wildfires. So hopefully the risk management considerations I've covered are informative for you that are UAS operators. At the FAA, we understand that waivers and exemptions are useful regulatory tools for innovation in these first regulatory steps, but together with industry, it's time to advance to performance-based rules and industry standards that enable innovation, but at the same time have consistent safety requirements. Stay tuned, the remote ID and operations over people rules are nearing completion, and other rules are on the horizon, which will address issues that will further enable routine beyond visual line of sight operations. Back over to you, Kevin.
Thanks for that, Everett. That was really insightful. Given the extensive potential you described, I wonder if you can comment on how utilities can better partner with the FAA to overcome these challenges and capture the opportunities you've described, of course, always putting safety first.
Of course, safety first. And I appreciate that comment. And I appreciate the question, Kevin. I'll mention two ways, and I'm sure there's others. The first is continue to leverage Excel Energy, Florida Power and Light experiences to enable other power companies to use similar manuals, concepts, and safety procedures to get approvals. And second, continue to collaborate with FAA to share data needed to develop specific industry standards in the UAS realm. Back to you.
Again, thanks for that, Everett. I'm really looking forward to continuing these discussions, across our broad industry collaboration, through EEI and other channels on this topic. But drones are just one of the technologies we have at our disposal to fight wildfire. Caroline Narich, I'd like to turn to you next to share a bit more about how Accenture is helping us apply emerging technologies to drive innovation within our company.
Thank you, Kevin, and thank you so much for having me on the panel today. Listening to you and to Caroline, I'm always so impressed by how Sempra is really pushing the boundaries of what's possible and really leading in the industry. As Everett said, you've truly embedded innovation into the DNA of your company, and I have to start by saying that we as Accenture are really proud and privileged to be your innovation partner and on this journey with you. Just a quick word of introduction for those of you not familiar with Accenture. Accenture is a leading global professional services company. We have services across strategy and consulting, interactive, technology, and operations. And we've embedded digital across each of these services. And the reason we've done that is because we really truly believe that technology is at the heart of the innovation agenda. We partner with clients across more than 40 industries globally to transform their businesses, innovating through technology. And the way we do that is through our unique innovation architecture, which leverages our capabilities across research, Accenture Ventures, where we shape emerging technologies by partnering with and/or investing in startups, and through Accenture Labs, studios, and innovation centers, where we ideate on the art of the possible, prototype and build solutions, and then through our delivery centers, where we actually scale those solutions. And the combined power of these capabilities is what equips us to really co-innovate with our clients and truly partner to scale these solutions. And this is exactly what we are very proud to be doing with Sempra. Let me just use an example to bring this to life a little bit, the example that Caroline already shared around intelligent image processing. So, we always start with a business problem. And as Caroline mentioned, in this case, we were working with SDG&E to really help them to identify damages on their electric infrastructure, which could lead to wildfires. We partnered with the drone inspection program and quickly narrowed down the challenge to how might we analyze millions of drone images to detect wildfire risk. And to give us confidence that we could do this, we actually tested 3 models. One that Accenture had developed previously for a similar challenge, and then 2 models actually developed on cloud, one using Amazon Web Services and then the other on Google's cloud platform. And interestingly, there wasn't really a clear winner between those models. But the potential of the technology was incredibly clear. And as you can see from the images here and from the video that Caroline shared earlier, the technology enabled us not only to identify the assets themselves, but damages on those assets that could lead to a wildfire. For example, a leaking transformer or a chipped insulator. And so, through this process, we really worked alongside Sempra to first learn about the technology, leveraging Accenture resources who are experts in each of these technologies, and to very quickly, in a space of about 8 weeks, build these capabilities. And secondly, to prove that the technology is able to provide significant value for SDG&E. We evidently found that there is a lot of value there. And so we're now working with SDG&E to scale this as a capability across the business. And if we look ahead, we see more and more opportunity to continue to innovate, leveraging a broader array of technologies. And one I want to emphasize in particular that we believe is so critical to transformation and transformation at scale is cloud. Most of you will be very familiar with cloud, whether you know it or not. Cloud is the on-demand delivery of IT resources with pay-as-you-go pricing. And as an individual, you use cloud every day, whether it be to post on a social media site, to share a file through Google Docs, or remotely deposit a check to your bank. The applications that you're using are actually most likely hosted on cloud. And for companies, cloud offers low-cost computing power, but it also offers unrestricted access to cutting-edge technologies and capabilities, including advanced analytics, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and a host of others that we've already heard about today. This access really empowers utilities to leverage these technologies to help resolve some of the biggest industry challenges, to rapidly experiment, and given the access to additional computing power to quickly scale. Access to innovation has revolutionized other industries, and this is exactly what we see happening in the utility sector today. Let me share a couple of examples in the context of our broader theme around wildfire to bring this to life a little. The first example, system optimization, combines cloud, the Internet of Things, and machine learning. Imagine a world where each microgrid or DER on the network has a digital twin, and where these digital twins are represented on a broader Internet of Things platform, which is actually integrated with this data. This would really empower the utility to speak to each component, and when machine learning is deployed on top of this, to optimize the network based on the needs of the network at that moment in time. If we apply this to wildfire management, we can envisage a world where we're better able to manage the system as we go into these wildfire events. For example, by communicating directly to the microgrids or to the local batteries, telling them to preserve power, and then actually leveraging this capacity to minimize the impact of PSPS events. Cloud is critical here as we think about scale. According to US industry estimates, we could see almost 1.9 gigawatts of behind the meter storage by 2024. And by leveraging cloud, we could easily scale this type of platform as the number of DERs on the system increases. A second example, crew safety, combines cloud, advanced analytics, the Internet of Things, and mobile. So by collecting sensor data from trucks, equipment, and crew member devices, turning this data into actionable insights through advanced analytics, and then communicating directly to equipment and crews enabled by the Internet of Things and mobile applications, utilities can quickly, efficiently, and safely manage wildfire season. Again, the reason cloud is so powerful here is not only the ability to tap into these technologies, but to scale up at a moment's notice. For example, during a wildfire event when the number of messages and alerts will actually be much higher. A final example is customer engagement. Cloud-based mobile applications are incredibly powerful in keeping customers informed during wildfire events. And these can include both alerts via targeted notifications, but also the opportunity to empower the customer with greater visibility of high-risk areas through visualization of outage data and actually imagery from the field in real time. And there are so many more examples. And as we think about some of the broader challenges that Caroline referenced at the start, namely the imperative to decarbonize our economies, we are really going to need them, and we're going to need them at scale. Thankfully, as our CTO and Innovation Officer says, there is no finish line for innovation. Back over to you, Kevin.
Thank you, Caroline. There certainly is a lot of opportunity for us to go after as an industry. I want to pick up on one of the examples you gave, namely the potential to better optimize the system and strengthen customer resiliency through clean microgrids. Caroline, Winn, I know this is something that SDG&E has been really focused on. Can you share a bit more about what you've been doing here?
Love to do that. Thanks for the question, Kevin. And this is an area absolutely we've been focused on. We really have three goals for our wildfire mitigation plan. One is to prevent catastrophic wildfire. Number two, though, is to minimize the impact, both duration and scope, of any public safety power shutoffs to our customers to the greatest extent possible. And the third one is to strengthen the overall customer and community preparedness, response, and resiliency. So let me pick up on our ways to minimize the impact of power shutoffs. And one of those ways is through these microgrids, or power islands is another way to say that. And we've been actively assessing our infrastructure to identify the areas that would most benefit from these power islands to minimize disruptions. So we now have 4 microgrids in progress. And these microgrids are a solar and energy storage combination. And they're really targeted to provide resiliency to customers and communities that are impacted by these PSPS, or public safety power shutoffs. And these customers and communities are all located in our highest fire threat areas and have been historically de-energized due to extreme fire risks. So 2 of the microgrids serve low-income communities, which is so important to make sure our most vulnerable customers, we're communicating with them and making sure they have the amenities that they need. But in addition to that, some of the critical customers that are being served from these 4 microgrids that are in progress include a medical care facility and a major air attack hub for CAL FIRE, which provides direct protection of 1.4 million acres for CAL FIRE, 300,000 acres of the U.S. Forest Service, and covers all of San Diego. So to build on what Caroline Narich said, and she was sharing, these provide really interesting, I think, test cases for us to further develop digital technologies to optimize the individual microgrids as well as the broader system.
Great. Thanks, Caroline. We got a couple Carolines here, so it's an interesting. Hey, one final question I could perhaps ask each of you to respond to is the potential for cloud and these other technologies we've been discussing today to transform our industry. In particular, as we think about the broader climate impacts that we are facing as a society and the resulting importance of decarbonizing our economies, where do you see these technologies as having the greatest potential? Caroline, Narich, I guess we'll start with you.
Sure. Thanks so much for the question, Kevin. I love that question. And if you don't mind, I'll answer it in two parts. So, firstly, I think it's really important to note that the mere transition to cloud could actually help decarbonize the economy with up to a 98% reduction in carbon footprint when these data centers are actually powered by renewable energy, which is, quite impressive in and of itself. Secondly, I really do think, back to what I was saying before, that there are so many opportunities for cloud and the digital technologies that are inherent to cloud to transform and decarbonize our industry. One opportunity I'm particularly excited about is sector coupling. So, there's so much great work happening to decarbonize our electricity system, but that will only get us part of the way there. And we need to find ways to decarbonize hard to electrify sectors in a cost-effective way. The integration and coordination of the electricity and gas systems to achieve a decarbonized and reliable energy system offers a lot of promise and would enable us to leverage existing gas infrastructure to store green gases like hydrogen and decarbonize hard to electrify sectors, including heavy industry and heavy duty transportation, for example. Again, some of the technologies we've discussed earlier would be critical to getting this right. Advanced analytics can be used to inform where you might place electrolyzers to have the greatest impact. Machine learning can be used to optimize the overall system. And cloud would enable not just the scaling as we discussed before, but actually much more rapid creation of the partnerships that we need to make this happen at scale. For example, between utilities or between utilities and trucking companies. And enabling those potential partners to really kind of securely share and optimize data across the networks. So lots of potential and a great question.
Caroline, Winn, do you want to go next?
Yeah, I'll just add a couple things to what the other Caroline said. I would tell you that we are investing heavily in cloud technology and infrastructure. Our new Envision project, which is our customer information platform and experience upgrade system, is using cloud technology. But let me maybe speak about some cloud technology that we've used since 2011, and that's on our website infrastructure. And communication with customers during emergencies is so important. So we have our website infrastructure on the cloud, hosted by the cloud infrastructure, and we've done this since 2011. And what it allows us to do is during these emergencies, when we know we're going to have heavy traffic on our website from our customers wanting to check on status, we utilize this 24/7 monitoring tools, and we're able to check in real time the performance of our website. And if we detect any degradation, we can add very quickly these web services to increase the capacity and handle the load. So I think that's just one test case of how we've been using the cloud for some time now and how it's benefited us in terms of getting our customers the information that they need, especially in emergencies.
Thanks for that, Caroline. Hey, Everette, you can talk about cloud or the other technologies we've been talking about today, or something different if you'd like.
Well, I tell you, I'm certainly not an expert in cloud as a pilot and aviation safety inspector, but I feel more fluent in the subject thanks to the panel here in the presentation. So, but I can clearly see that the potential to reduce costs and increase speed, increase efficiency, increase accuracy of data, relative to legacy servers and hardware can only mean a tremendous benefit to emerging technologies like we've discussed here today, and the aviation industry as a whole, in particular, emerging technologies like drones. But again, when it comes to safety, anytime you can increase speed, efficiency, reduce costs, and add accuracy in, I think you're really doing a tremendous benefit in the safety realm for everyone. And so in that regard, I am an expert. So thanks a lot, Kevin.
I love it. Connecting this entire technology discussion back to safety. That's a great note to end on. As I mentioned at the start, we're in a challenging but hugely exciting time for the industry, and through forums like this and the collaboration as enabled by EEI here, I'm hopeful that we will be able to work together to harvest the full power of technology to continue to tackle evolving challenges and really transform our industry for the future. Thank you again, everyone, for tuning in, and we look forward to continued discussion through Q&A.